Today, we stand at a crossroads facing challenges that seem insurmountable, mountains that feel too high to climb. But let me remind you, even in our silence, there is a power so mighty it can move those very mountains. What if I told you that the prayer that stirs in your heart, even in the quietest moments, holds the strength to overcome every obstacle before you? This is the promise we must hold on to. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever faced a challenge so great that it felt like an insurmountable mountain standing right in front of you? Maybe it's a problem in your personal life, a crisis at work, or even a spiritual struggle. You look at it and you wonder, how will I ever overcome this? But what if I told you that your silence, the very moments when you feel at your lowest, could be the key to unlocking the power to move mountains? There's a power in prayer that many of us don't fully understand. We often think of prayer as a way to ask for things, a way to speak to God when we want something, when we're in need. But there's so much more to prayer than simply asking. Prayer is the force that aligns us with the will of a higher power, and it is in our deepest moments of silence that we can access this force the most. Think about it. It's in the quietest moments that you discover who you truly are. When the noise of the world fades away, you're left with yourself raw, vulnerable, and in need of something greater than yourself. In those moments, you realize that you cannot rely on your own strength alone. You need something more. And that is where prayer steps in. Too often, we are surrounded by distractions, overwhelmed by noise, and pulled in every direction by the pressures of life. We forget to pause, to listen, and to reflect. We forget that the most powerful prayer is not always the loudest one or the most eloquent. Sometimes, the most powerful prayer is the one that comes from the deepest silence within you. It is in these quiet moments that you find the strength to move forward. But here's the thing, prayer in its purest form doesn't just change our circumstances, it changes us. It transforms our hearts, opens our minds, and strengthens our spirits. You see, we may not always have control over the mountains that come our way, but prayer gives us the power to climb them, to navigate them, and to eventually move them out of our path. Imagine standing before your mountain. You might feel small, insignificant, even helpless. But if you embrace the silence and surrender yourself to the power of prayer, something incredible happens. The mountain before you doesn't seem as large anymore. Your faith begins to rise, and with it, your strength. You start to believe, deep down, that no challenge is too big for the strength you have within you. And here's the key: the more you embrace this silent prayer, the more you'll see your mountains begin to crumble. The obstacles that once seemed impossible to overcome will begin to lose their power over you. It's not because your problems disappear, but because your ability to face them has been transformed. You'll start to realize that with every moment of silence, with every prayer from the depths of your soul, you are becoming stronger, more resilient, and more capable of overcoming anything that stands in your way. So next time you're faced with a mountain, don't panic. Don't let fear consume you. Instead, take a moment to embrace the silence, to pray from the very core of your being. And watch as that prayer begins to move the mountains that once seemed impossible to overcome. Have you ever felt like you were staring up at a mountain that seemed impossible to climb? Maybe it's a financial burden, a relationship that's falling apart, or a dream that feels just out of reach. You look up and you can't see the way through. But here's the truth: it's not the mountain that defines you, it's how you respond to it. And the most powerful way to face those seemingly insurmountable obstacles is through the strength of prayer. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when life throws challenges your way. The mountains you face can feel so big, so intimidating. You stand at the foot of them wondering, how on earth can I get over this? How will I even begin to move it? But what if the very act of moving that mountain doesn't depend on how big you are, but on how much faith you have? What if the key isn't in trying harder, but in trusting more? The Bible tells us that if we have faith as small as a mustard seed, we can move mountains. What does that mean for us today? It means that the obstacles before us are not permanent. It means that the struggle, the power to move mountains doesn't come from physical strength, mental acuity, or sheer willpower. It comes from the unseen, unshakable power of faith. And that faith, when channeled through prayer, has the ability to change the direction of your life. Think about the mountains you face right now. They might seem unyielding, as if they will never move. But prayer is the dynamite that can break through the hardest rock. When you pray, you're not just speaking words into the air. You're tapping into a power far beyond your own. Prayer connects you to the very source of life, the Creator who shaped the mountains and the stars. And when you begin to pray with the belief that God has the power to move those mountains, you begin to see them in a different light. But here's the catch. Your faith has to be more than just words. You can't just say, I believe, and expect everything to change. True faith is rooted in trust. It's the quiet confidence that even when you can't see the path forward, you know God is working behind the scenes. It's understanding that the mountain may not move immediately, but through prayer, you will be given the strength, wisdom, and courage to face it, to climb it, and ultimately to conquer it. So, the next time you're standing before a mountain, don't despair. Don't let the size of the obstacle overwhelm you. Instead, take a deep breath, bow your head, and offer a prayer. Not just a simple request, but a prayer that believes in the possibility of the impossible. And watch how the power of prayer begins to move that mountain in ways you never thought possible. Remember, the mountains in your life are not there to keep you down. They are there to help you discover the power that lies within you, the power of faith, prayer, and trust. With every prayer, with every moment of belief, you are stepping into the strength you need to overcome. The mountains may seem daunting, but with prayer, there is no mountain that can stand in your way. Have you ever felt like you were fighting battles in silence? The kind of struggles that leave you feeling isolated, as though no one truly understands what you're going through. It's in these moments, in the quietest of times, that we often feel the most powerless. But let me ask you, what if your silence was not a sign of weakness, but the very key to unlocking strength you didn't know you had? What if your silence could become a prayer that moves mountains? There's a profound power in silence, a power that we too often overlook. In today's world, everything is about noise, constant distractions, endless chatter, and the overwhelming pressure to always be doing. But silence, true silence, is where transformation happens. It's where we can connect with our deepest selves, where we find peace, and where we make room for God to speak into our lives. Too often, we treat silence like an empty space, a void to be filled with noise. But in reality, it is in the silence that we hear the loudest echoes of God's presence. Think about it. How often do we pray loudly, passionately, and yet never truly listen? We want answers, we ask for help, but we forget that prayer is a two-way conversation. Silence is where we hear the still, small voice of guidance. It's in the moments when we quiet our hearts, when we stop talking and just listen, that we hear what we need to hear the most. Those silent prayers, the ones that don't have words, but are full of faith, are some of the most powerful prayers of all. The strength in silence comes when we stop trying to control everything around us. In a world that demands constant action, silence teaches us to surrender. It teaches us that we don't have to fix everything by ourselves. When we're quiet, we open the door for divine intervention. Prayer in silence is like a seed planted in fertile soil. It doesn't need to shout to grow. It simply needs to be rooted in faith. And with enough time, it will grow into something powerful enough to move mountains. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on the power of silent prayer in action. Imagine standing before a challenge, something so overwhelming that you don't know where to begin. It's easy to feel paralyzed, like there's no way through. But what if in that moment, instead of speaking, you simply close your eyes and embrace the quiet? What if you allowed yourself to just sit in the silence, trusting that in that space, something powerful is happening? In that stillness, you are surrendering the situation to something bigger than yourself, opening yourself up to a force greater than any mountain you're facing. When you pray in silence, you are not weak, you are powerful. You are drawing on the infinite strength that comes from faith. The world may see your silence as inactivity, but God sees it as an invitation to move on your behalf. And believe me, when you turn your silence into a prayer, mountains will move. You're quiet. Moments of faith become the loudest declarations of strength. The power of prayer in silence is one of the most transformative forces you will ever experience. So, the next time you find yourself in a moment of silence, don't see it as an empty space. See it as an opportunity to connect, to listen, and to unleash a prayer that can shake the very foundation of everything in your life. In your silence, there is strength. In your silence, there is power. And in your silence, mountains will move. Have you ever felt like you were standing at the edge of your own limits, staring into the face of an overwhelming obstacle, and wondered, how can I ever overcome this? What if I told you that the obstacle in front of you wasn't just a challenge to be faced, but an opportunity to be transformed? You see, prayer doesn't just change circumstances. It changes you. It has the power to transform your heart, your mindset, and your spirit in ways you never thought possible. When we pray, we often ask for things to change in our lives, for a breakthrough, for a solution, for a way out of our troubles. And while it's important to ask for help, we must remember that prayer isn't just about changing what's around us. It's about changing what's within us. Because when prayer enters our hearts, it does something powerful. It shifts our perspective. It takes us from a place of defeat to a place of strength. It moves us from feeling powerless to standing in the power of faith. But here's the truth. Prayer isn't always about getting what we want. It's about getting what we need. Sometimes we think that prayer is a transaction. We ask, and we expect answers right away. But God's timing isn't our timing. The transformation that happens through prayer may not always come in the form of an immediate answer to our problem. Instead, it might come as a deeper understanding of our own strength, as the courage to face what's ahead, or the wisdom to know when to let go. Prayer doesn't always change the situation in the way we imagine, but it always changes us in ways that matter. Think about the times in your life when you've prayed through a difficult season. It wasn't just the situation that changed, it was you. You may have felt lost, uncertain, or overwhelmed, but through prayer, you found clarity. You found the strength to persevere. You found peace in the middle of chaos. And that transformation didn't just get you through the tough times, it made you stronger. It made you better equipped to handle the next mountain that would come your way. Prayer is also a continual process. It's not just a one-time fix for a temporary problem, it's an ongoing conversation with God that nurtures our growth. With every prayer, we are shaped, refined, and built up. We are becoming the people we need to be to handle the challenges that lie ahead. Through prayer, we learn patience, resilience, and perseverance. We learn to trust when it's hard, to believe when we can't see the way, and to hold on even when it feels like we're standing on the edge of our own. So when you pray, know this: it's not just the world around you that will change, it's you. Prayer transforms your heart, it strengthens your spirit, it prepares you for everything that comes next. And the more you pray, the more you will see. Not just the mountains move around you, but the mountain that was once within you begin to shift as well. Through prayer, you are not just asking for a breakthrough, you are becoming the breakthrough. You are becoming the person capable of overcoming anything life throws your way. In the end, prayer is the most powerful tool for transformation. It is the key that unlocks the doors to the strength and resilience that are already inside of you. So, don't just pray for the mountains to move. Pray for the transformation that will make you unshakable, no matter what stands in your way. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to remember one thing. Prayer is not just about asking for what you want, it's about becoming who you were meant to be. Every time you pray, you are stepping into a deeper level of strength, a greater understanding of who you are, and a stronger connection to the power that moves mountains. The obstacles in your life, the mountains that seem impossible to climb, are not here to define you. They are here to reveal the greatness within you, the faith that lies dormant, waiting to be unleashed. In every moment of silence, in every prayer, you are being transformed. The challenges you face are opportunities to grow, to trust, and to emerge stronger than ever before. Don't focus on how big the mountain is. Focus on the power of your prayer, the strength of your faith, and the transformation that is taking place within you. When you embrace the power of prayer, you embrace the power of transformation. You embrace the ability to move mountains not just in your world, but in your heart and spirit as well. Remember, it's not the size of the mountain that matters, it's the size of the faith you carry with you. And with faith, nothing is impossible. So, stand firm, pray boldly, and trust that with each prayer, you are becoming a person who can move mountains, overcome challenges, and rise above anything that stands in your way. The power to change your world, to transform your life, and to move those mountains lies within you. All it takes is faith, prayer, and the belief that with God, all things are possible. Keep praying and watch the mountains fall.